Eleanor, thank you for a fantastic conversation. We really appreciate you joining us today to lead that discussion. My name is Neil Bradley. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Policy Officer here at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And it is my distinct honor today to welcome the Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh. Many of you may know Marty from his job before he was Secretary of Labor as the mayor of Boston. He had a distinguished track record there, creating economic growth and opportunity and jobs. And one of the ways he did it was he had an open door, whether it was the business community, the local chambers of commerce, or trade representatives and unions. He was always available to figure out how we came together and solved problems. It's been especially pleasing to report that in his 10 months on the job here in Washington, D.C., he's brought that exact same approach, joining members of the Chamber of Commerce to learn about the workforce shortage crisis that they're experiencing and engaging about how we can find solutions. So Secretary Walsh, thanks for everything you've been doing, and thanks for joining us today.
Neil, thank you for having me today. It's exciting to be here. I want to just thank everyone watching today in the panel before us today as well. It's great to see some good conversation about what's happening. I just want to take a moment. I want to use my personal privilege here to congratulate the winner of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Small Business of the Year Award. It's a great wine shop in my hometown of Boston, Massachusetts, the Urban Grape. I want to congratulate you. Urban Grape is a Black-owned, women-owned business. Hadley Douglas and TJ Douglas do incredible work training and mentoring a diverse workforce, and that's what we're here to talk about. So I want to congratulate you guys before we get into the conversation.
Well, Secretary, I was mentioning those great businesses started in Boston, and that's a perfect example. And today we're going to talk about how we help those businesses, small, medium, and large, get staffed. I want to dive right into your portfolio as Secretary of Labor. For quite some time, the department has managed workforce job training programs, but the labor force is in a different place than where it has been historically. I'm wondering how you think those programs are going to change and evolve in light of our current challenges in terms of connecting people with jobs and getting them the skills that they need for the jobs that are open today.
Yeah, there's no question about it. We heard a little bit, we caught the last couple questions in the last panels. Workforce development job training is going to be key to our future. When the president filed his bipartisan infrastructure bill, firstly known as the American Jobs Plan, American Families Plan, incorporated was jobs, physical jobs, rebuilding roads and bridges and railways. And in the Build Back Better reconciliation package, there's investment in workforce development. And I really think that we have a unique opportunity at this moment in time, particularly in light of what we're seeing from the pandemic with worker shortages around the country, opportunities for people looking to change careers, better their place in society, get into the middle class. We really have, I guess I would say, I turn the positive spin, once in a generation opportunity to make a long-lasting change in the workforce of America by scaling them up. Yesterday, I was in Ohio yesterday, and I was at the Ohio Chamber, and we went to a technology company, actually the Cleveland Chamber, I should say, and we were at a high-tech company, Fit Technologies, and we were talking about creating pathways for people in the technology space. So we have real opportunities right now in our country to do some amazing things.
So, one of the things that we often talk about is the jobs that are open today and trying to get people into those positions. And when there's a skills gap, the lag in people helping and people acquiring those skills contribute to someone being unemployed longer and the position being unfilled longer. Are there things that we can do, or things that our employers can do to help speed up the skill identification and acquisition process?
Well, yeah, I think one area is we have two broad areas of focus, I think. One is first, modernizing our national workforce system and expanding it to more industries. I think that's going to be key, so we connect workers to more in-demand jobs. I think that's something. And secondly, is increasing equity and diversity in the terms of who can access these programs. As was just mentioned before, registered apprenticeships is a great example of how we're advancing these skills. Apprenticeships work for workers because they can earn wages while they're training and get the supports they need, so we get people into the workforces. Apprentice works also works for employers because it's driven by jobs that they can have open in the workforce challenges that they face. So we do have that opportunity right now. I think that there's no question about it. And we need to invest in job training strategies as a country. I think that, again, I think yesterday when I was talking when I was at the technology company, we were talking about, everyone's like, what's the government going to do? What's the government going to do? What's the government going to do? And quite honestly, Neil, you mentioned in your opening remarks, I reached out to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce because in Boston, myself and Jim Rooney had an amazing relationship. I was known as a labor guy. I was the mayor of Boston. I supported unions. I supported businesses, and we had some amazing success. And we need to have those, continue to have those conversations. It can't be one side or the other.
And I think that's exactly right. We have to, this is not a problem that either side, labor or business, is going to solve on their own. We're going to have to solve it together.
And quite honestly, I just real quickly, I look at it through the lens of, we don't have sides here. We have one goal. We have one goal to make our company successful, make our workers successful, allow workers the opportunity to get into the middle class, earn good livings. And what we have to do is we have to be real intentional also about making sure that diversity is at the forefront of all that we do. Because in too often, people of color and women have been left behind, and we're seeing it play out all across this country during the pandemic. And we have an opportunity to change that dynamic moving forward.
So I want to shift gears a minute, and a topic we've talked about in the past, but it's certainly at the forefront of many of our members' minds, is the issue of immigration and understanding how legal immigration can contribute to meeting our nation's workforce needs. The Department of Labor plays an important role, particularly when there are worker shortages in a particular area. How do you think about the issue of immigration and legal immigration contributing to our overall national workforce?
No, certainly it's an important issue for our country, and as a son of immigrants, this issue is obviously very personal to me, and it should be for most Americans. If we look back, if anyone looks back at their family's history, there's a good chance that their families came from somewhere else. Immigrants have always helped drive our economy, and given us a competitive edge here in the United States of America. And as you know, a lot of people know the president introduced a comprehensive immigration reform package his first few days after taking office. This bill would allow the American economy to grow and strengthen and help our competitiveness around the world, and while preventing unfair competition here in the United States. That balance will be crucial if we want to ensure long-term economic stability. The Department of Labor also administers a program called the PERM program, and several guest worker programs, H-1B visa program, H-2A visa program, and the H-2B. So our door is open if anybody wants to share their conversations. And I'll just say one other thing. You know, for some reason, immigration has turned into a political issue, and it really has never been. It's always been agreed to and supported bipartisan. And as I go around the country, particularly when I talk to big businesses, every single business in America that I've spoken to is all about comprehensive immigration reform, finding a pathway for the folks in this country that are undocumented, and creating a system moving forward. Our college universities in this country educate young people from all over the world, and after we're done with them, they go back home because they have no pathway here. Why are we letting that brain drain go out of this country when we could actually keep them here in the United States and move our country forward?
Well, you're exactly right, and count the U.S. Chamber in on that. A lot of our audience today, as they're dealing with open positions, are trying to evaluate whether this is a kind of a temporary situation or this is kind of part of a new normal. And we know kind of pre-pandemic, one of the things that we heard most often from employers was a tight labor market even then. That's obviously been exacerbated by the dislocations caused by the pandemic. One of the things the Department of Labor does is looks at labor force projections and things into the future. I'm wondering if you can share what the Department of Labor sees in terms of the future, the tightness of the labor market, where talent is going, just to predict a little bit about where we'd be if we were gathering in 3 or 4 years.
Oh, thank you. I'll probably get myself in trouble, make some news here today, but certainly this has been a topic for me pretty much, not necessarily the first days of being the Secretary of Labor, but as time went on, certainly the months of August, September, October, November, obviously heading into November. The perspective of the Department of Labor is that we're focused on supporting people getting back to work safely, supporting the growth of the labor force in the long run, something that we need to do. But we are coming out of I think we have to realize and keep it in focus reality that we're coming out of a once in a century pandemic. And what we're doing won't happen overnight. It's going to be a process. People, I think, are taking a fresh look at the job market, their goals, their families' needs. Some people are just burnt out of the work they were in the past, or they're traumatized, especially many of our essential workers. When I say traumatized, they've gone through a lot of stress this year. Many have decided that low wage, poor working conditions aren't worth threatening their health or family over. And people are considering the importance of childcare. And clearly we have a system in childcare that we need help, wages, their benefits, opportunities to advance their retirement. So we're looking at all that. We think about the pandemic hitting people of color and women the hardest. The numbers don't lie; they tell you the truth. So we need to. This is what I think we need to do. We need to make sure workers need to be safe. They need to make sure they have opportunities for dignified jobs and with good living wages. They need to access job training to grow their careers. This is certainly essential to address our current labor market and strengthening our workforce in the future. And I think that, with the president laid out a Build Back Better agenda, really about training opportunities, workers moving forward. So if I'm looking to a crystal ball, your question was, to give you a short answer of the long one I just gave, I think over this next 6 to 8 months, we will see a major change in our country, but the change is going to be forever, meaning that workers are going to be expecting more. They're going to be looking for higher wages. But I think also companies will understand and appreciate their support. They will also have dedicated workers working for them. So we have work to do, and we just have to get through this pandemic. And the last thing I'll say, I think our time is up. If you haven't been vaccinated, get vaccinated. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I'm saying it because we can't go back to what it was. I just want everyone just for a minute think about March of 2020 and what happened when we shut everything down in this country. We don't want to go back to that. We want to continue to move forward.
Well, Mr. Secretary, I'm glad you said it. I'm going to echo it. Get vaccinated if you're not vaccinated. If you qualify for a booster, get the booster. Thank you so much for joining us today. As you said, we have a lot of work to do, and we look forward to doing that work with you. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes and spending them with us today.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Chamber.